You're now listening to the Something Good Podcast Network. Please press any key to continue.
All right, everybody, and welcome to this week's episode of the Couch Potatoes.
No homo.
No homo. I'm Alex
Morrison.
And this week we've discussed quite a few different streaming services in the past. But you know what? Today we're going to be talking about one that maybe a lot of people haven't really dug into, that we're going to definitely throw our stamp and seal of approval on it. The best. But before then, let's go ahead and just do a little bit of housekeeping. Guys, we never say this, but how about you go and hit that subscribe button on your favorite podcast platform? That way you get every single notification when we get new episodes dropped, because guess what? Facebook and Instagram suck dick, especially when it comes to actually showing people their motherfucking posts. So if you want the episodes as soon as they drop, make sure you hit that subscribe button. And if you want to give us a review, even if it's a 1-star review, fuck it, do it. Give us a review. Let us know how we're doing, because
I'll contact you directly.
We will Jay and Silent Bob your ass. Are you the motherfucker that said? But no, just trying to get things geared up a little bit more, because if folks look in the episode description of this show, they're going to see that after a few weeks of teasing and blue balling, we have our merch store up.
Yay.
Oh shit. So if you click that link in the description, you can get yourself a nice Couch Potato shirt, a Something Good Network shirt, and we've gotten a couple other little things that we might drop a little later on. Chris is literally wearing he's wearing 2 shirts. It looked like he was just about to flash his tits at me, be like, does this get me merch? But no, he's wearing 2 shirts, and underneath is this nice snazzy one-of-a-kind Couch Potato shirt. As I wound up making you a shirt, but I didn't put us on it. It's just the logo, because I was just like, I highly doubt you'd want to walk around with your face on it.
No, I don't like my picture taken, so no.
I mean, I'm a narcissist. I will. I'll wear a shirt of me wearing a shirt of me wearing a shirt, and they all have my face on it. Sure, I'll fucking do that all day long. I have my logo tattooed on me, okay? So yes, I'm a bit of a narcissist when it comes to that, but Chris, not so much.
No.
But for everyone else
humble
out there,
as fuck, bro.
Ain't nobody more humble than me, motherfucker. So if you want to get yourself a cool t-shirt of the Couch Potatoes, or even Cryptic Conspiracy Cult, we got one of those t-shirts up as well. Click that link in the episode description, and as time goes on, we might be dropping a couple other fun little pieces, like a coffee mug, or maybe even a puzzle or 2.
I got a fun story about that one.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
All right, well, actually, we'll just go ahead and talk about that. Yeah, so through the website, we get a whole lot of our merchandise done. You can get just one-of-a-kind items made as well. And they've got puzzles on there, which Chris and I were kind of even bouncing around the idea of, hey, it'd be kind of cool to do a puzzle collection. You know, it's like every month or so, put out a new puzzle for folks to do, especially because it's pretty inexpensive for what it is. And we're not doing this to make money. We're doing this to have some fun with our folks. So we'd sell it almost at cost, and just kind of see what it does. But yeah, I got one of just the album art, or the artwork for the podcast, and you got that put together, and it seemed like it went
if we did
fine.
a greatest hits of Cryptic Conspiracy Cult and put it on a fucking album, I would lose my mind.
Folks, share our podcast. Get those sponsorship monies rolling in. We'll do a best of vinyl collection for Chris of the Couch Potatoes.
Just track 1. Marijuana is the devil.
Well, it's like side 1 should be actually, it'd be kind of interesting to do a Something Good Network greatest hits vinyl, where it's like the start of each track is the intro song. So it's like you've got the intro songs pressed on vinyl. Oh, God. But no, what was your puzzle story?
So I finally put it together. It took me a little while because I kept going on and off about it. So I bought a frame yesterday. I framed it. So I didn't really pay attention until after it was all done. It's missing a goddamn piece. I lost it. I can't fucking find it.
No.
So the great conspiracy of the lost piece. I'll probably find it when I finish moving my shit out. Like last minute.
I love that. The conspiracy of the missing puzzle piece for the cryptic conspiracy cult puzzle.
Yep. It's goddamn infuriating.
But no, we've got actually kind of couple cool ideas for cryptic conspiracy cult puzzles, because it feels like that show specifically kind of lends itself to that, since there's so many pieces of the conspiracy or the cryptid story or whatever.
I got us like 5 more subscribers overnight at Triples. just because they're just like, hey, you want to talk about David Koresh real quick? Yeah, sure. You want to talk about what Pepsi and Coke do not share shit? Like, yeah, let's talk about that.
So if that's also interesting to you guys, click that thing where it says listen to the other shows on the network and find the cryptic conspiracy cult, because I have a feeling that looking at the numbers between, say, I'm talk about the 3 main shows like No Time to Turn, Couch Potatoes, and Cryptic Conspiracy Cult, when I look at those 3 numbers, where they're coming from are completely separate demographics. We're reaching different people with each show. So if folks are listening to this and they've not checked out Cryptic Conspiracy Cult, boogie on over there. You might like it. But enough of that bullshit housekeeping. Let's go ahead and head on over to our news segment. This is something Chris brought up, which I'm surprised it wound up being news, because it felt like this kind of stuff made the rounds a couple years ago, but I guess I was wrong. But this year, the year of our Lord 2023, vinyl record for the first time has outsold CDs since the year 1987.
Yep.
That is pretty surprising to me.
I think it's a lot of not so much a nostalgia feel, because people our age never had vinyl really growing up, except for our grandparents or parents. I think what it is something we talked about a while back, was peripheral. When you hold an LP, an album, there's so much in it. There's so much content in it, not just looking at the album, not just the music, there's more to it. And CDs don't offer that option. It's very compact. You open up, there's no book in them anymore. It's always just a cover, a track list, and the back.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's it. Albums, though, you have sleeves, you have pullouts. If the band decides to take like 3 years to make an album, it's a double fucking album.
Yep.
So it's basically a little book, and like there's so much stuff packed into these things, and plus you have the remasters of old ones. And so I think record collecting has actually pushed this harder than anything, because with re-releases and stuff like that, hey, I used to have this, I can't find it. Holy shit, they got Purple Rain at Walmart.
Or my copy is just worn the fuck out.
And a lot of people I see, frame them, do frameworks on them, do whole like wall collections and stuff like that. You still have, your pickers who go to like yard sales and stuff. And
like Mike Phillips from the Gabba Gabba Hunt podcast. That's one of his favorite things to do, is just to go around record shops, kind of pick around and see what he wants. I mean, he's also got his own store. Definitely check it out.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, he loves doing his record picking.
And plus, all the new artists are doing LPs and stuff. Like I remember when I was younger in high school, Kid Cudi, which created an LP, like just dropped an LP, and everybody's like, well, what about a CD, or why aren't you just doing streaming only? He's like, I just wanted to do it. And that set off a fucking firecracker of shit. Hobo Wolfman Records down here, Repo Records, whole new shit every week on the on their posts and stuff. Hey, we got these new albums, and I'm just like, new. I'm just like, holy shit, they're new. Like, like it's fantastic that they got those, and they'll pull. And like that's a great place to pull from if you're doing that. But yeah, like it's so much better quality. Me and Cap talked about it before. The band Lucifer did just albums, it seemed like, and it had an old school 70s, 80s feel to it, and it's really nice to go back to have those again. So like CDs are kind of like a flash in the pan almost. If you like time wise, like they were great in the late 80s, 90s. That was, if you had money, you had CDs. In the early 2000s, like everybody made their own shit. It's like, yeah. So having the album, having to actually stop what you're doing, put it on the record player, and having a record player is awesome. Like it's like the Victrola has made a big comeback. Just the little suitcase record player.
Yeah.
But yeah, like it's the new peripheral for music.
Yeah, and well, the thing I was kind of surprised on it, and I think it's kind of cool, but it also felt like, and listeners, if I'm going crazy, let me know. But if I'm remembering this correctly, help me out. It felt like I saw this article like in 2018 or some shit, or 2019. Mm-hmm. It felt like even back then people were talking about how vinyl records were outselling CDs and shit like that. Like how vinyl record was back on top. As happy as I am that it's still continuing to do so, it just felt like this wasn't the first time since 87. It felt like there was a time even more recently.
Well, I could see like an article coming out about like cassettes, and maybe like finally cassettes are eliminated and got overshadowed by CDs and vinyl.
Right.
That seems more possible in 2018. Yeah. But like the cheats, you guys played with them twice this past week, and like that's all they had were vinyl, and I have most of those.
Well, and the other thing is I think the more and more we push for immediate instant gratification and don't have as much physical items of things, I honestly think you're always going to have that new generation that comes up that wants that nostalgic physical of it all. Because I remember being younger, and vinyl records were very niche, in the late 90s, mid 2000s, no one gave a fuck about them. So that's when I was really interested, because it was like you couldn't do it. And plus, like what you were saying, everyone that had a computer probably had a CD burner. Yeah. The novelty of a CD was just utilitarian. It was just a tool to, make ends meet. Yeah, I needed music on the go. Here's a CD.
Before MP3 players were booming.
You couldn't make your own vinyl record. You couldn't make a mixed record. I bet you if we were able to make mixed vinyl records, the whole mystique of it wouldn't quite be as much.
So I'm glad you brought that up. There's actually a machine.
Yes, lathe cutter.
Yeah, and it is fantastic because it does duplicates. But that was like invented in the late 70s, and the cassettes were just like kicking at 8 tracks were just going, and like I could see like somebody who's in the vinyl business being like, God damn it, why did they make this fucking thing? And it's like if you think about it, the more progressive in technology it is, the easier it is to copy. Oh yeah, for the layman to do. Like vinyl was very hard to do. Like you would have to buy a machine. You have to have something that heats up vinyl and shit like that. But by the time I was in high school, I was using blank CDs, but not for music, but for MP3s, because it also has a data file on there. So yes, I bought a special CD player that played MP3 CDs from Sony.
So you had kind of like your first MP3 player, but it was just a CD, because you could probably fit like over 100 songs on that CD.
Yes, and then like if you bought like the special CDRWs, which had rewritable capability, yeah, you could put so much shit on there. And
I love the CDRWs.
But like that's when I started getting really heavy in that shit. And that's why I got that one CD player. It was a Sony IO CD player. It was fantastic. My mom was pissed that I had to have it. She's like, "What's wrong with the CD player? It doesn't play when I fucking play it."
Well, see, and again, I think the reason why vinyl records are always going to kind of endear, because one, as you mentioned earlier, the ritualistic aspect of it. Taking the vinyl out, putting it on the turntable, dropping the needle. You have to go take care of it to flip it over to listen to the rest of your record. It's a process, and people enjoy that. And at the same time, cassettes, you mentioned that earlier, they tried to make a comeback. It didn't succeed. And I believe it's because we had the mixtape. You could make your own cassette tape. The novelty of having a specific record on cassette tape was immediately null and void if you had the copy on another physical form. You could easily bounce that to a cassette and boom, you've got that record. It doesn't matter now. So I honestly do think that the vinyl record probably is going to endure as long as there's generations that are interested in classic media. Yep. As soon as there's a generation that is just not interested in what is now considered to be retro tech, it'll probably die off then. But I'm seeing enough Gen Zers digging through their grandpa's closet and finding stuff, and they're getting interested. Like, so it's going to last a little longer.
But like newer artists are still dropping vinyl. Like,
hey, we are.
But like that's the thing, that. And also, it kind of feels like you're giving money to the artist when you buy vinyl and stuff like that. So like when
you are,
but like when I go to a show and they're selling that, I'll more likely buy that than a shirt. Yeah. Okay.
And they're much more appreciative of that because they spend a lot more money on those records than they did the T-shirts.
Yeah, so like you really want to, I know that more of that money is going toward them as cost per annum. They're probably making more money per than just like a fucking shirt, because shirts can be expensive to make.
Yeah,
and then when you buy like a shit ton of them, you're just like, wow, why do I have all these smalls? Oh wait, all my fans are like 3X.
Well, moving on to another topic real quick. Saw this literally as we were getting set up. Dish Network recently had a cyber attack and a lot of data was skimmed from their services. So it was a ransomware attack, and so Dish Network told employees that they're investigating a cybersecurity incident and they're aware that certain data was extracted from its IT systems as a result of the incident. And that was according to an email sent by CEO Eric Carlson that was obtained by The Verge. So that's kind of interesting. So if you're a Dish Network subscriber, you probably just got a little more fucked in the ass than usual, like South Park kind of does. Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah, well, in the last like few weeks, corporate entities are getting railed right now. Another version of this is what happened in Silicon Valley with their banks, but like they had the same kind of situation. They got took, and ransomware, is a very niche way of taking things down. We had that problem here in North Carolina not long ago.
With what?
The power grid. So Duke Energy had a ransomware attack, and they said, no, we took care of it. It's like, no, someone hacked you and turned off. And what they did was they turned off people's power.
This wasn't the Christmas incident, was it?
It was before that.
Okay.
But anyway, they were turning people's power off. Well, they found out later Duke was turning people's power off because what the ransomware did was shut off the payable part of the fucking website. So someone put in ransomware and just shut off the payable.
Oh shit! I remember when this happened because I couldn't pay my bill for a couple days, and I'm like, "Bitch, I'm trying to give you money."
And then, it was kind of like one of those Robin Hood situations. It's like, oh no, we're going to keep the power grid going, but we're just to shut off the payment part of it, so Duke Power couldn't make money for like 2 months. And like then they started turning people's power off because they weren't receiving payment. And it's just like, you greedy bitch, you couldn't have waited. You couldn't have just waited till you got their shit fixed. And like Dish Network, is probably one of the worst fucking sites. We had Dish Network for a while. It sucked.
It's horrible, dude.
Them and DirecTV are just like hit or miss. And I remember what time we had Dish Network, and I was watching a movie, and we switched. And the guy came and turned my TV off. And I'm like, hey, do you have this channel? We might. You do not have that channel. And I was really invested in watching this one thing. I'm just like, God damn it. Fuck. It's like a Saturday afternoon, too. I was fucking furious.
Yeah, looking here, it says the filing notes that the company only learned about the data infiltration on this past Monday, so nearly a week ago, and is working with third-party experts and advisors. The outage has had an impact on both customers and employees alike. Well, no shit. I would assume the employees are also affected. Dish subscribers, as well as Boost Infinite and Boost Mobile users, have not been able to contact customer support to do things like activate new equipment, cancel their service, or even make a payment. So yeah, same shit's kind of going on with them.
Yeah,
I feel bad for those Boost Mobile people, because the reason why you got Boost Mobile in the first place is you can't afford a fucking phone, and they're about to fucking shut that shit off.
But like, it's kind of a good thing, because now you have rigorous testing that you have to do.
Right.
So like this is the big thing about regulation that people don't realize is regulations set these plans in motion so you can do the rigorous testing and make sure this shit doesn't happen. If you don't have the regulations, this is going to happen more often.
Mm-hmm.
I'm looking at you, trains.
What's your beef with trains?
They're derailing constantly right now because they got rid of regulations at the last administration. So, just saying, maybe when the safety guy shows up, you just fucking listen to him.
I feel a little bit of a personal vindication in your voice with that one.
Yeah, you don't want to see people die because, one guy said, this thing needs brakes. Well, what the fuck do you know? And then 2 weeks later, East Palestine, Ohio is covered in chemicals.
What about this ground wire?
Yeah, what about this fucking ground wire? You don't need to ground that shit. I walked up on houses that aren't grounded, and that's scary as shit.
But we have March is now upon us, and this past Friday was March 10th, which means Happy Mario Day, MAR10. Nintendo.
Or St. Patty's Day for some drunks.
All right, yeah, quick aside. I was working in our neighborhood yesterday, and bro, I thought I was like tripping. I thought I was like a week off. Motherfuckers were already in fucking green shirts and the beads and the hats and the hairbands and everything. I thought St. Patrick's Day had already started. I asked Siri and she's like, nah, bitch, that's next week. Someone needs to tell these drunk assholes.
Well, it's like white girl birthdays, man. It's like, it's my birthday week.
No, it's not.
You just want to wear green and get shit faced.
But for the first time, probably since the Switch has been released, to celebrate Mario Day, all of March, Nintendo is actually running discounts on their Mario games. Holy fucking shit. We need to be talking about Nintendo more often on this show, because I just fucking said that I would love to play more of these games if they were a little cheaper, but spending $60 on a game that's been out for so long, that's really hard to swallow.
Yeah. And with the release of their first $70 game coming up with Zelda, I think they need to boot and rally on these fucking prices. Like, it's getting bad.
Well, they're starting somewhere. All of these games are actually $40 for either the physical copy or the digital. So Mario Party Superstars, Donkey Kong Country, Yoshi's Crafted World, and all the Luigi Mansion 3 multiplayer and expansion pack shits. That goes from the 10th until the 23rd, and then from the 24th until April 7th, all of these are going to be $40. Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, or the one with the booster pack and yada yada, Mario Odyssey, Mario Brothers U Deluxe, Super Mario Maker 2, and Mario 3D World.
Yeah.
All of those are going to be fucking $40, along with Mario Party Superstars and a couple others. So I'm actually pretty fucking excited about that. And shout out to Davey Dirt in the fucking Discord. He somehow won a download code for new Super Mario Brothers U Deluxe. And bro just fucking sends me a message. He goes, hey, I won this. I've already got the game. You want a copy? So you know what? Through that, I'll probably wind up picking me up another one of these, because I was most wanting to pick that one up out of all the discounted ones. But yeah, I think $40 is a lot more of a reasonable price for most of these, even if it's an ongoing, because Luigi's Mansion 3, that's been out for a long ass time.
Yeah.
Mario Party Superstars, there's been a new Mario Party since then. Mario Odyssey, that was a launch title, or close to launch. It was like a couple months after launch.
Yeah, there's no reason it should be like that much.
It really shouldn't. So props to Nintendo. I feel like this is a step in the right direction. They started allowing stuff on mobile devices. They've been a lot more liberal and generous with their classic titles, and now they're discounting some of their current titles. I think this could be a step, possibly in the right direction.
Yeah.
So we've been kind of complaining about that for a minute. And last little bit of Nintendo something. None of this is news, but this would be at least kind of a fun speculation. I brought this up to a coworker of mine the other day. So, barring PlayStation and Xbox and what they do with every new console, essentially it's what you know and love, but bigger, faster, stronger. It'll suck you off and text your girlfriend. So it's they try doing all that. Nintendo doesn't really worry about that. They try to do something interesting and new with each new device. So for the longest time, we had our handhelds, whether it be our Game Boys or the DS line. And then as the consoles went on, you had stuff like GameCube, and then that shift to the Wii, motion controls, then Wii U, that had the tablet that you could connect to the TV or use for portable play if it was close enough. All the while, the 3DS was still rolling. The Switch comes out. They immediately halt production on the 3DS. They're not doing anything with it anymore. And they're putting everything into the Switch, because not only is it a portable console, it is a home console. Why make it 3DS? Why make DS as if now we can take our AAA games on the go? What's the next system for Nintendo?
Well, that's what I wanted to bring up. So we've discussed how would they port DS games over to the Switch, and I was thinking about this morning actually, because I was looking at my Switch, how I would do it, how if I decided to third party the fuck out of this. I think if they create an insert peripheral for the docking station to where the two screens operate independently from your television and your Switch together. So that bottom screen would be in your fucking hand. That top screen would be on the television. That's how you would port DS games and then create a whole new expansion to the Nintendo Live. Now, the 3D aspect of that, all that was for the 3DS was just layering effects. All it is a software update.
Yeah, and I mean, even the last system they put out was called the 2DS.
Yeah.
So it's like a lot of people really weren't clamoring for the 3D, so I bet you they could probably just put it on there and not even fuck with the 3D.
So a software update to create a layering effect on like the OLED, which probably could do it. Yeah, I think that'd be the next thing for Nintendo is to create backwards compatibility with that subscription service they have. My biggest problem is your fucking number one titles aren't always Nintendo games. That's the problem. So my biggest thing is when I'm playing the SNES Classic, Chrono Trigger's not on there, and it's one of the best fucking games ever made for the SNES. It's in the top 10. I believe it's number 4 out of like fans, and people are just like, it's not on the fucking market. It's not on the fucking subscription service. I can't even buy it from Nintendo eShop.
Yeah.
God damn it, am I going to have to buy a homebrew fucking chip or some shit? Like, am I going to have to buy a homebrew cartridge? Like those Game Boy cartridges with like 40 fucking games on them. So like, hey, I made this little Game Boy. How much storage is it? Oh, about everything. It has a little bit of everything. It has everything on there. So you like emulators, motherfucker? Love this one. But like, it seems like that would be, in my opinion, a peripheral object. Yeah. That would go into the dock and stuff like that. But like, I don't see them creating another console for a very long time.
Yeah, because that was going to be my thing is, I absolutely see them creating additional peripherals like that, like to actually work off your idea, because they would need a cartridge slot for the DS. All you would need to do is just kind of think of the realm of the Game Boy camera, how the camera fit into the game slot. Your game slot would act as your beacon to the Switch for it to read the fact that it's actually trying to do the dual screen like you're wanting. And then on that dock is where you could click in your DS game. So the dock, so the game port would basically work as your RF sensor to tell your Switch that it's in DS mode. All the while, it would also work as your thing to insert your cartridge. Yeah. I agree. I think that's something. I'm not even talking about backwards compatibility with old DS games. I'm talking about a subscription service. Like I'm saying, like that would be their thing. No, I think a backwards compatibility would actually be pretty cool.
I'm pretty sure like a third party guy would probably make a thing that would hook up to a USB-C.
Well,
I'm going to switch.
Well, I'm glad we're talking about it here because that means it's going to finally happen.
Yeah.
Just like we used to be the death podcast. Now we're the creating
people
things podcast.
I people still fucking die.
But no, I honestly cannot think of what the next form factor for Nintendo would be other than what's been rumored for like the last 3 years, which is that Switch Pro.
Yeah, it's hard to say.
So who knows?
I don't see them going to discs. Like some of the other consoles still use discs, which is fine because you own it.
Yeah, I mean, SSD memory has gotten so good.
And plus, you can buy third-party hard drives that are compatible. So, like, if you got the 2 terabyte fucking PS5, and the quality of games are only going to skyrocket in size, so 30 gigs to 50 gigs to 60 gigs and stuff like that. I don't see it being an issue with them because everything's on the cartridge.
Yeah.
All right. And then you have a separate memory card for the Switch. So they're relying a lot on the people that make SD cards and stuff like that to create the memory itself. The biggest problem I have with them are the way their account management is set up. There's not really a support system on that. I've noticed. I went the other day and tried to do some support work on because my accounts are separate. I had a Switch Lite and now I have the new Switch, but they're not linked together except by account. But I sold that Switch Lite, and now all my account information is on that other one.
Got it.
But they don't allow. Well,
didn't you sell it to a friend?
I did.
Tell him to fucking log you out.
But he doesn't have it anymore.
Jesus Christ! How many hands has the Switch been in?
But the thing is still active. So like now I would have to go in, create a new account. God damn it. You know what I'm saying? Like, and pay for another annual subscription service, and granted it's $20, but fuck Jesus.
Well, who the hell knows what Nintendo's gonna do? But I tell you what, let's go ahead and move on to our main topic, where we discuss a company that was on the top of the internet world for a little while with their own website and everything else, and then eventually ventured over into YouTube. That kind of fell through, and now they're the kings of their own app empire. Let's talk about Dropout. Holy shit. I went into a deep dive with the history of this company a couple years ago, and it is insane, Chris. Like I was shocked at just how many ups and downs and like different things happened with these guys.
Yeah. Like in the early days of YouTube, they were there. They were the first company to really go out, and I will say they've kept a lot of the original people. Another version of this is the story of Cracked. Opposite story of that. They got ruined because of YouTube, and CollegeHumor, which is Dropout now, basically, saved their own asses with this content. With the content they created. They
really did, because CollegeHumor used to be like their own video hosting website. Mm-hmm. Like they were actually in competition with YouTube for a little bit. Like they were like, come to CollegeHumor for curated content, go to YouTube for the amateur content. They were like, we've got the good stuff at CollegeHumor.
Yeah, kind of like Funny or Die stuff. Like
exactly. Funny or Die will bring in your C and B grade celebrities to do some funny bits. CollegeHumor could get the same pull, that sort of shit. And honestly, I remember a lot of CollegeHumor videos back in the day. Like, I'm pretty sure CollegeHumor was the first place I saw, I almost called it Powerade. Power Thirst.
Yeah. Power Thirst.
I love that fucking video. And I think CollegeHumor was the first place I saw that.
Yeah. So, like, with CollegeHumor, and this is kind of like pre-Sam Reich, the guy who runs it now, they worked hand in hand with funnyordie.com, and a lot of their people from Funny or Die ended up going to CollegeHumor, ended up going to Dropout too. And the way YouTube had set up was, you could put your videos here too. And CollegeHumor kind of saw the writing on the wall that individual websites to watch content wasn't where it was. Where it needed to be. Not like streaming is, where you pay a service. But Cracked actually suffered this the worst, because YouTube had kind of almost demonetized a lot of their content, because they had a great series called After Hours, and it was fantastic. It was just diner people talking about no different than couch potatoes. Like, it's just talking about fucking pop culture. And they had to stop because the website Cracked wasn't getting enough hits. They weren't doing enough monetary value on YouTube, because YouTube had to demonetize a lot of their stuff because it's uncensored content, and basically killed that fucking whole website. Now they're just probably just a profile on YouTube that still shows old content. But CollegeHumor got kind of ahead of that.
Yeah, because the same thing was happening with them. A lot of their content was getting demonetized. A lot of the stuff they were wanting to do, they couldn't do anymore. And there was even a lot of shakeups kind of near the top, because maybe by this point in the timeline, Sam is a content creator with CollegeHumor, and he's kind of worked his way up to a point. But from what I understood, Sam was kind of always in the upper echelon of the company. He just didn't run it.
Yeah. So he was basically the manager of the content. Like, they had investors, so those are the people he would have to answer to. Like, there is a board, but
he had bosses for the time.
Yeah. But him being so ahead of it, and also being the editor of the website, when the articles came out, he had to edit those articles. He had to tell guys, and it's like, hey, we can do a skit about this. We'll go ahead and move with this, see how it looks. All right, we'll film it, we'll cut it, see what it does, and then post it. He's very hands-on with that, which kind of makes it great, because he's part of the content as well a lot of times. One of my favorites are the Office sketches, the Hardly Working sketches.
Yes.
And those are just fucking hilarious. He's like, one of my favorites is the Wolfenstein one. And it's just like, man, I found out my grandpa was really big into Wolfenstein. He's like, really? Yeah, I found all this trunk with all this Wolfenstein stuff. And it's like, put that back in the goddamn trunk and burn it. Like, it's all a bunch of Nazi paraphernalia. And it's just like, yeah, he's got all this Wolfenstein. Like, no, your grandpa was a Nazi.
He wasn't a video game fan. He was a Nazi.
Get that shit out of here. And a lot of those guys ended up having careers in Dropout later on, but also in careers in like movies and stuff.
And them getting to Dropout is kind of an inspiring story, because how they get to Dropout is essentially those investors going, yeah, this isn't worth it anymore. We're out.
Yeah.
All of a sudden they start losing investors. They start losing payroll. They are about to go under. And instead of kind of going the route that maybe Crack did, where they went, all right, fine. We had our moment. We were the kings for a minute, but even Rome fell, all the mighty kingdoms fall. We're done. No, Sam went, all right, well, we see Patreon. We see all this other stuff going on where people are creating content and the people are directly subscribing to it. Maybe it's time for a brand change. Maybe we do something a little different. And I have to say, Dropout is probably the best second name to a company, like a rebrand, I've ever heard, because it was CollegeHumor.
Dropout.
What did most of those kids probably do? Drop out. Yep. It's like, yes, that is the absolute best second iteration of a company I've ever heard. And yeah, they started out by just releasing a handful of the episodes on their YouTube. They rebranded the YouTube to say Dropout, everything else. And all of a sudden, that's when I started paying attention again. Because the first thing that really came about, you were telling me about it, Chris, was this game called Game Changers. Yeah. And it's hosted by Sam. And honestly, I wish he did more stuff, because Sam Reich, as a host and like content creator, he is hilarious. He has like this perfect host mentality of like nothing will faze him, but he will say the most off the wall shit with a smile on his face. He just has that about him.
The great thing about Game Changer is it's whose line is it anyway? But with Sam Reich having personal connections with these people, he knows where to undercut, where to really get people off their thing. And a lot of these guys are improv comedians.
Yeah.
A lot of these guys are comedy writers. So they really need to be on their toes sometimes. But it is an edited show. We've seen like postseason episodes where like, hey, this is the stuff we had to cut for length.
Yeah.
And he's very true to the whole 30 minutes. You have the 23, 25-minute episodes. Because
very rarely do they go over like 40.
Yeah, but like when they do them, he said this once. He said, I wanted to keep that 23-minute, 28-minute stuff because I wanted to feel like you're watching regular TV again, even though they don't have ads. And I will say, this is the second cheapest streaming service worth the money. Out of everything, it costs $6. Shudder costs $4. Those two by themselves are still cheaper than a fucking Netflix company. Like, that's amazing. And
it
like
really
there is no commercials.
And the thing is we're not talking about like, say, all right, I'll throw a little dig at us. It's not like, our Patreon where we are releasing, 2 or 3 podcasts a week and, maybe a video here and there. These guys are churning out the content. I mean, this is a full-on station full of like, it's imagine like your XM radio app where you're just like, what do you want? Rock, pop, reggae, easy listening, EDM. Same fucking thing as soon as you tune into Dropout. Do you want animation? Do you want game shows? Do you want tabletop? Do you want quiz? What do you want? We have a whole lot for you. You want podcasts? Sure, we even got podcasts for you, bro.
And what really makes it great is all of them are part of the creation. So everybody you see on the shows are writing these episodes, are writing this content. If it wasn't it wasn't until later on that Brennan Lee Mulligan actually came to CollegeHumor and actually started appearing in stuff like Hardly Working and stuff like that.
The CEO.
Yeah, so that was even later. So like when he first started, they're like, holy fuck, who's this guy with a lot of energy, who knows a lot of stuff, who's really invested in, making content to the point where he's making content by himself. Can we loop that in with ours? And that's how kind of Dimension 20 started, was holy shit, that he started getting these guys together after work. I'm like, hey guys, you want to play a game of D&D? And like a lot of those people who do Dimension 20 now didn't do that, never did that. And bringing them into the fold of that really what kept Dropout on top, because a big part of Dropout, there's 3 shows that really keep the show going. There's Actually with Trap Wilson, Dimension 20 with Brennan Lee Mulligan, and Sam Reich with Game Changer. it wasn't until recently that they've actually expanded into other great shows like Dirty Laundry with Grant and all them. And then you have stuff like the spinoff of Game Changer, which is Make Some Noise, and going
featuring the Noise Boys.
Yeah. And then you have then we talk about the musical guys that are on their music. Well, they got one thing called Play It Again, which is another version of that. It's a spinoff of one game they've played, and it's fantastic. They did a great job. They haven't made a season 2 yet, which I'm kind of disappointed about, but. You know,
they're only human, Chris.
They're only human. They're only turning out 40 episodes a fucking day. God damn it. But you actually see, if you watch it from like a timeline retrospective, you do see where they come into other shows, and it's just like you can see the effects of the other show. Like one is was a show about Grant and another person on the show are in deep college debt for real.
Yes, I watched a few of these.
So you actually see, if it's filmed, that they're pitching this idea of a game to Sam. And you kind of get into kind of in-depth process. He's like, well, how's it going to work? Well, we brought in this guy. He showed it. You know, we're going to do things that were very uncomfortable for money. This is Fear Factor. But it's specifically about them. Fear Factor is random. You can have a girl scared of bees, and one guy be like eating a handful of bees. So like, you know, you really play it on the whole like broad.
This is almost like Fear Factor meets Jackass, mainly because Jackass is very tuned in and customized to each person to kind of fuck with them.
And that's what's scared of snakes. We're gonna throw him in a ball pit with the anaconda.
Exactly. Yeah, so same setup on this, but it's very much the Fear Factor thing, where it's stuff that's going to embarrass them or they're afraid to do.
Yeah, this is very personalized. But a great version of this is the main chick, or the main person on the show, got a spray tan and dyed their hair green, and then had to get a new driver's license. Well, if you go watch Dimension 20. Their hair's still fucking green. Like, it is real. Like, they're not making this shit up. It's very, very fucking real. You can see the spray tan is kind of gone, but the hair, it's still green. As their hair grows, it's getting less green. And I didn't notice it until after like a second watch, because a great thing about some of these shows is you do have your 30-minute contest. You do have your sit around the actually, which is the trivia game. But when it comes to the Dimension 20, these are hour and a half, 45-minute long episodes, because they're telling a story that is, it's a fantasy story, but it's role playing. And then on top of it, you have to improv a lot of this, because you have to work with 6 other people on the fly who each have a character part of the story. That is like the gauntlet of Whose Line Is It Anyway? Like, it is. Can you imagine if those motherfuckers played D&D? Oh, it would be brutal as shit. Like, because they would have to create their own character, and then you have
Wayne Brady would win.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. It's a team effort. So the person DMing the game is the one you got to beat. So if you get someone like,
I could see Wayne Brady being a DM.
Yeah, but they have to beat him. That's the thing. He has to beat them. And like, I'm not saying that's how D&D is played, but that is a part of it.
Yeah.
I'm not talking about full party kill, which happened for the first time on Dimension 20 this last go around for their Never After. And he looked around, he's like, that wasn't supposed to happen. But because of their improv acts as characters, it was a full party kill. And if you're a D&D fan listening to this, you know how bad that is. Like, a full party kill means, oh fuck, we need to start over. We need to play. I need to write a whole new content to get somehow say that you're resurrected. Okay, so like that's hard as
the resurrection.
It's like telling Stephen King, he's like, hey, what if Carrie came back? God damn it! And I got to write a new book. Like that's the kind of stuff. Like, this is book material. This is novels. This is a series of tween fiction. Like, that's what this is, that they're writing on the fly along with 6 other motherfuckers. You know, Bernard Mulligan can do it, but you could tell it's just like, God damn, dude, how many stories have you told, like, in the background of all this? And
I know that's the thing that amazes me is, like, I couldn't be that creative to think of that many stories. I could probably think of maybe 3 or 4. I could come up with 3 or 4 pretty unique storylines if I felt inspired enough. But I mean, I've seen the amount of, sessions and campaigns Brendan's done. I have no idea how that, plus his spare time, his personal time. It's like, good
Oh, he
God.
still does stand up.
Yeah. Well, I mean, just I'm talking about from the storytelling aspect of D&D. Even like his personal time, I'm sure he plays personal D&D games that aren't filmed. Good God, how many stories does he have?
Going into that, you have, we talked about on YouTube, a lot of those people from YouTube are being brought in to College Humor as guests. There's a great YouTube channel, My Brother, and Me. The McElroys, a family of fucking comedians who are also notorious D&D players. He brought them in to play Tiny Heist, and that's where we get Rick Diggins. Because Brendan Lee Mulligan didn't write Rick Diggins, that guy did. So now he has to play along with this multiple personality disorder Lego man. He's doing a Tiny Heist with a fairy and a fucking transformer and shit like that. So he has to be on top of his game constantly. And another part of this, because there's such a big fandom for D&D, he actually went on to host Critical Role, which is a separate YouTube account. And now they're bringing the host of Critical Role to Dimension 20. So there is a little bit of cohesion going on with other content creators, which College Humor was known for in the beginning. A lot of those guys were YouTube-specific people who got hired by College Humor to do more stuff.
Well, and I think the reason why these, maybe we'll kind of phrase it as collaborations, are kind of working is because College Humor proved their concept to be correct, which is if you provide good, funny, and engaging content, they will come.
Yeah.
That's just what it comes down to. People want funny, quality content. And if you make it a decent price that everyone from your college kid to your working class 20, 30, 40-year-old can afford, they're going to buy it because they want to see the funny content.
And another part of this is a lot of their content from Dropout is free on YouTube, which draws you in. It drew me in.
Yeah.
I watched Fantasy High, which was a Dimension 20 D&D game. I watched the entire first season from beginning to end. Fantastic storytelling, lore, and they're just like, if you want to see season 2, get Dropout. And I'm like, oh, I gotta know what happens. So like,
yeah,
here's my $6, motherfucker.
And same thing happened to me. You sent me a link to a Game Changer, and you're like, dude, watch this. I know you'd like this. And one episode, I'm like, oh my God, I'm fucking sold. I love the whole setup. I love the look. I love the editing, everything. And talking about when you were saying earlier, stuff that you liked, kind of seeing the progression of with the app. The weird thing that I like is watching the sets progress and get nicer and get better. I think as a viewer, at least for me personally, I like seeing that, especially if it's a model like this where it's a subscription service and you're paying them for the content, where it's like season 1 of Game Changer looked very DIY. Like you could literally see the brush strokes of the paint on the pedestals, it was very DIY. Where it's like you look at it now and like there's a couple little better highlighting, like lights, you can tell they maybe repainted a few things, the TV looks a little nicer, the cameras are maybe slightly upgraded, or they could hire a better editor, better color grader. And all of a sudden it's like, you're like, oh, my little investment is actually making a difference. They're putting it back into it. They're not just keeping the money. They're putting the money back into it and giving us an even better product. It's like, yes, it's like, oh, and then all of a sudden season 3 of Game Changer comes out and like they have bigger stunts to pull, like the wrecking episode, where it's like they just destroy shit the whole time. And it's just like, yeah, they probably wouldn't have done that in season 1 because everyone was like, no, I'm not doing the cleanup on that. And you're meaning to tell me we have to set aside probably close to like $1,500 just for them to destroy shit? No, we're not doing that. Fuck no. Season 3 rolls around. Oh, fuck yeah, we're doing that. Yeah, we'll clean up this mess. That'd make for a really funny episode.
And that's another part of it is you see people who appear briefly in Game Changer. My favorite one is the lie detector machine.
Yes.
At that time, Izzy, Brendan Lee Mulligan's girlfriend at the time, is in that episode. Now she's a fucking cast member.
Yeah.
Because now she's part of Dimension 20. She's part of Dirty Laundry and stuff like that. Because they have a history. And so now it's more of like a family thing almost. Like, hey, these are a group of friends who are making content. And Sam Rice is the ringleader of this one thing. And another thing is Dimension 20 could stand on its own, but it is still part of Dropout. and you have different DMs constantly. One of my favorite things is watching a DM be a player. Brendan Lee Mulligan as a player is off the fucking wall, craziest shit you've ever seen in tabletop. We joked about it, like when we play Monopoly and stuff. Hey, what's the house rule? You know, land on free parking. I have pissed so many people off, just lucky shot in that fucking thing. And that's what he does.
Yeah.
It's all it is about rolling dice. This motherfucker's lucky shot DMs into the ground, and they're just like, fuck, I didn't plan for this. No, you didn't plan for this because you're not Brendan Lee Mulligan. All right, motherfucker. So you have to adapt, and seeing those people play characters, it's like watching your boss try to do your job, and it's really good. And then you realize, oh, that's why they're the boss. It's like they're too good at this fucking shit. And him on Actually is more funnier than Game Changer, in my opinion.
Well, I was gonna say, Actually, the reason I really like that show is they literally took the derogatory thing of the know-it-all, which is
actually,
and made
he's
it
called a smartass.
and made it an entire show. And it's really great because you even watch trivia shows, and sometimes in your head you're like, well, actually, it's yada yada blah blah blah. So for them to use that as the hook, it shows good writing, because without even having to explain the show, if you just said, oh, it's a quiz TV show called Actually, from that alone, you already get the idea that, oh, you're probably going to have to do reverse trivia where they give you the answer and you have to give the correct answer.
Yeah, so it's a lot of, hey, this and this happened. Actually, no, this didn't happen. That's just how it's. I remember watching it with Cap and the girl he was with at the time, and I started answering. That's not right. Nope, that didn't happen. And like Cap's looking at me like, God damn, dude, you should be on that show. No, because those three motherfuckers on that are more nerdy than I am, and would fucking demolish me on that fucking show. And then another part of the thing is Brendan Lee Mulligan and Trap, the guy who does the show, because Brendan Lee Mulligan will actually be technically right, but it's not right.
Yeah.
And I love his like look, like dead-eyed look into the camera. He's like, get in the comments.
Yes.
Get in the fucking comments. And it's just like,
And then I'm
in the
sitting here
comments,
going like-
and if you look at the comments on like YouTube and shit, they're like, what the fuck, bro?
Well, I was going to say, that's the only place it works, because Dropout doesn't have comments.
Yeah. Get in the comments. But like he branched off, and and another part of Dropout is the Dropout podcast, which is people like Trap and Brendan Lee Mulligan and Sam Reich. And then what's funny is Sam Reich actually was part of a D&D campaign, and it is fucking hilarious, him trying to keep up, because it's like, it's not his bag.
Yeah.
But like him trying to be as cordial as possible, and just Brendan's like, yeah, you're my fucking world now.
I'm your boss
I'm
now,
your boss,
bitch.
Points.
But no, I just really do like Dropout, and it especially makes me sad because I see something like Dropout and I go, that's what G4 could have been.
Still can be if they want to come back.
They can. NBC,
G5?
Comcast.
G5?
No, they Kevin Pereira and a couple of the other new kids all went off, and they're kind of doing their own thing, but like it's literally just live stream podcast stuff. They're not actually doing. It's weird to call it like TV content, but like I feel like that's where that crew really thrived, was in TV style content.
Might see him on an episode of Actually one day.
That would be cool. That would be really cool.
And just Brendan Lee Mulligan just sitting there, I'm like, oh, I don't play video games.
But I know all of them.
I know the lore. I read the books. I read the adaptations. And just Kevin Pereira just like, what the fuck is this guy?
If you could pitch another show for Dropout, what would it be?
That's hard because they've done massive amounts of content. I would love to see them do a version of Undercover Boss, but in a more practical setting where it's actually an office and it's just like, hey, I know that guy. Is that the... And just look at a picture of the CEO on the wall and just look at him.
Is that Sam?
Yeah, like... No. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's something like that. It's hard to pitch a content for CollegeHumor because they're so good at making content. So,
honestly,
a version I would love to see is them actually sitting around and doing like Smosh games where they play tabletop games other than D&D. I would love to see them try to play
Monopoly.
classic games, and them just losing their mind because Brennan Lee Mulligan has a lot of things to say about Monopoly. And how it only works if everyone is trying to kill each other, basically. And he's like, but if we come together as a community, we destroy it. But it's just like, that's communism.
I thought about this one right before I mentioned it. I think it'd be cool. I don't think maybe as an ongoing series, but maybe as like a 2 or 3 part episode, hosted, of course, by Sam, and you'd have to have your Brennan Lee Mulligans and everyone else as part of it. Take the concept of the Survivor episodes of Game Changer, but it's an overnight camping thing where there's like 5 people, but 1 tent, a certain amount of food, a certain amount of water.
It's funny you say that because that was actually one episode of the college debt one.
Oh, was it?
Because Grant hates
camping.
Yeah.
He had to do the camping one.
They packed his bag for him, and in the bag was a tent, a pillow, a little fake torch because you couldn't light a fire at the time, a portable DVD player, and nothing but porn videos. And they came back and saw him, and he was like freaking out because he heard a bear, but he's probably like a deer. Yeah. But like it's California, so there are bears, but it's just like, yeah, have fun.
But I think that'd be funny. Just drop, especially with the concept of like low rations, not enough shelter for everyone. Yeah. It's probably gonna rain tonight. Yeah. It's a little cold. What you gonna do?
Yeah, I can see that.
I just see like Trap, Brennan, and everyone else just like dominating. That'd be because that would actually be the funniest thing. Could be like the Cyril from like Archer, where it's like he's kind of nerdy and like, oh, whatever. That's kind of like the Trap of the group, and then all of a sudden that situation happens. He's just like, Lord of the Flies, bitches, let's do this shit.
Yeah, just a full breakdown of human society. Yeah.
And then you just get clips back to like Sam in his trailer, and he's just got like his heater, some cocoa, and he's just like watching the screen. He's being like, that's very nice.
Yeah. You can do that with like hotel rooms. Like they just, each one is in a different hotel room, and they have to figure out basically like a trap room. Like you have to figure out a way out of the hotel room.
Oh shit! There's the title, The Trap Room, hosted by Trap, and this is everyone in their own escape room.
They all have to figure out how to get out of the hotel room. It's basically an escape room. Brennan Lee Mulligan would be like kicking the fucking door down because he has claustrophobia.
No, you're not doing this. All of a sudden, you just see a foot through the fucking door.
Yeah, I would love to see a lot of the guys from Dimension 20 kind of expand out a little bit. He does have a core group of people, but there is a lot of secondary people that show up a lot. And like I said, kind of like Smosh games where they sit around and play different games together. I could see them playing like Secret Hitler or something like that, or what is it, Business Walrus or
God, watching Brennan play Business Walrus.
Nerd Water.
But no, guys,
or act out skits from playing Cards Against Humanity.
Oh God,
you gotta pitch it.
Oh, that'd be good. So no, guys, definitely check out Dropout, especially if you like this kind of content. I mean, we are not sponsored. Hey, sponsor us. Let us on the show, maybe. No, but I have a feeling that the people that like our content, would very much kind of dig that stuff too, because it's not too far disconnected, and I'd say that a combination of the stuff Kevin does, Kev Smith rather, oh, that was me. Damn, that was an odd noise. Everyone gets to keep that one in. Combination between Kevin Smith's stuff, the Dropout, and Tell Him Steve Dave is like really the blueprint of what I look at when we even look at our podcast network. So when we talk about stuff that we like when it comes to like Dropout and shit, we have our grand plans. We have things we want to do. We just need the people. We need the people to do it.
I would love to see a little bit more cohesion with other stuff like Good Mythical Morning. Stuff like that, and have them brought on the show. A lot of your independent YouTubers do this, Mr. GG, Wendigo, and stuff like that. They do that, but I would love to see Dropout, reach out to bigger people in YouTube, like Smosh Games, Good Mythical Morning, those kind of like. I could imagine having Scott the Waz on them actually, and him freaking the fuck out about a whole episode.
That would be good.
A whole episode about Nintendo, and him just like getting it wrong because Brennan Lee Mulligan just like read Nintendo for like 30 minutes and just like, I got it. And him having a panic attack. Like Tyler was on our podcast.
Oh God. If you guys have not listened, as we mentioned earlier, we got that other show, Cryptic Conspiracy Cult. We released a little mini episode. Tyler Reese of the Cyberdelic swang on through to talk about the Anunnaki, part 1 of the Alien series. So definitely check that out, along with all the other good shit on the network. And like I said, click that link in the episode description and grab you a Something Good Network t-shirt, a Couch Potatoes t-shirt, a Cryptic Conspiracy t-shirt, and maybe some other stuff that we'll drop a little bit later on. But we're going to start at least with those 3 right now. See what people think of that. But we've got a good year of stuff coming up. It kind of felt like this was the down week. Like everything else seems to be kind of kicking off starting in April. So we've only got a few more weeks. Yeah, we've got Mandalorian running right now. We've got South Park running right now. So once those 2 finish up, we'll be covering those extensively and definitely have a lot to say about this season of South Park. Yeah, it's been pretty interesting, and we might have a lot to say about Mandalorian as well. They're
mean The Last of Us?
I knew you were going to say something about that. Pedro Pascal is just the dad of every show now.
Yeah, he's going to be the dad of everything. I love the SNL skit of the Mario Kart.
Yes,
it's just like, where are we going? Wherever the road takes us. Boom, 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 boom. Some John Carpenter fucking Escape from New York style.
But if you like this shit, make sure and hit that subscribe button. Give us a review, all that good shit. We're going to start asking for that a little bit more because, damn it, we got to get that up in order to get the interest of any sponsors. And god damn it, we have got to get that bitch Betty Crocker on this show. So for this episode of the Couch Potatoes, I've been Alex. And Chris, do you have any sort of final thoughts on Dropout or anything else we've talked about today?
I would love them to play Business Walrus and then force Sam Wright to do a pop shop of their business anywhere. Just pitch a business, and then they have to open it up for like one of those like
pop-up shops
for like 2 days. Come down to this fucking thing, and Bert and Lee Mullick is just like fucking shooting off shit, just fucking trying to sell shit as fast as possible.
Come on down to Chris Morrison's Magic Emporium.
You ever seen Needful Things? This is Needful Things. All these items are cursed. I want glasses to see. You're blind now.